Hey folks, Mike here from Billy, Maine. I'm a writer of Billy, Maine. Been working here for about 15 years, about 50 years right now. Because it was right after Comic Guy in 2009 that I actually started working with the website. And it's Comic Guy was a couple weeks ago. I think I'm alive. I think I'm working well. I think this is working out. So we have a lot to cover. It's been a couple weeks, or a week and a half at least. Cover as much as I can, and then we'll go from there. It's September 25th. It's the 11th month anniversary of the shooting of Lewiston. Earlier this month, the Bond report placed blame on the Army and one particular officer, although there was at least 25 different attempts that law enforcement could have stopped the shooter beforehand. And now the bar and grill Spanky is now being tried. They're going to try and use it as a homeless shelter. I'm all for a homeless shelter. I just don't know if it should be where people die. And I mean, I understand both sides of it. I'm not getting involved, but and yes, there is such a need for a warming shelter in Auburn. I can't see that enough. I mean, I understand it, but I also get that, my friends and people who died, people who died there. I mean, it's hard to even fathom that. And then what happens if there's another issue that happens with the thing? Well, I don't want to be anti-homeless, so I'm not. I just don't think it's a great thing. I think there's probably other facilities that could be used besides the former crime scene, the worst crime scene in Maine history. I mean, I think people who are homeless deserve better than that too. If you think about it, I mean, come on. I mean, it bugged me, and I'm sorry I live here, and yeah. Anyway, it's sad that it has to happen here. And I can't even begin to tell you how difficult it is as a person who's lived here to imagine what it's like to have gone through a mass shooting and survived it, and to see my community go through it is worse. I mean, I grew up here since I was 10, majority of my life. I mean, I never in my lifetime thought it would happen. You can't prepare yourself. I would be talking about it today, but I am. So, this week they had this federal government put free COVID tests up available on the web. You can order them, except that the day the website crashed because there was such a pent-up demand for them. Probably because they've been reformulated so they will work better with the new strain of COVID. And also, they will, there's been such a shortage of them that it's been hard to find a good COVID test. And they're very expensive. They're about $23 for two, $26 for two. I've seen that locally in Lewiston, Maine. So that's expensive. I did some research. There's 3 vaccines available for booster shots right now: Moderna, Novavax, and Pfizer. Moderna and Pfizer are both mRNA, and Novavax is non-mRNA. Talk to your doctor about which one you think is most important to you. All 3 are supposed to be tested at protection from COVID and new strains, so that seems to be good. And by all means, if you can handle it, people over the age of 65, people are immunocompromised. They're saying that one of the major reasons why people are getting multiple infections are because of the low vaccination rate, which, again, people, you know, don't want to get vaccinated, which I understand. I mean, I don't like getting vaccinated myself, but it's one of the best reasons to prevent yourself from getting a COVID. And again, I still mask everywhere outside of my house if I'm going indoors. I know that sounds ridiculous, almost 5 years after COVID started, but you know, when you're immunocompromised and your death rate is twice that of a normal human being, then yeah, it's kind of easy to say, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna mask up because I don't want to risk it. Today is National Comic Book Day, according to the U.S. National Archives in their Tumblr page. Now, comic books might be a disability thing, except that most of the comic books that have come out, especially a lot of the independent comics, but even go back to the X-Men, Professor X, the literature, a lot of the mutants are disabled, but they've got superpowers. And it makes their way into pop culture. I mean, Stephen Hawking was considered a superhero by many. There's a lot of references to Stephen Hawking being a superhero on Big Bang Theory, which is cool. And Professor X is awesome. Just having that, and then you have the whole Marvel 16 movie miniseries. You got all these superheroes that have mental illnesses and addictions and depression, and Tony Stark being obsessive, and it's $1 billion movie industries, and the characters are just as disabled as and diverse as well, maybe not as diverse as human culture, but certainly disability aspect is there. So it's National Comic Book Day. It's always cool to add that. And in case you are unaware, on October 25th, there will be a 1-year anniversary for the memorial of the shooting in Lewiston at Just in Time and at Spenty's. It's going to be at the Coliseum in Lewiston. I'm sure the City of Lewiston's website has all the information. It will also be webcast and virtual streams. There will be a lot of support networks and people there for the anniversary. Recently, it was this is the thing that is, there are some things you just cannot be covered. This is definitely one of them. Recently, a trove of Nixon tapes was released, and in it, President Nixon says that he doesn't think that marijuana is all that dangerous or much of a gateway drug. And then I believe there's a follow-up comment that says that he thinks that prison sentences for long prison terms for marijuana are ridiculous. And they were founded by a marijuana rights group, nonprofit, or something along those lines. But it was reported in the New York Times. I believe the audio is there. I will post that at some point to the Billy Maine thing because I do have a account, so I can give a subscription link to the thing. But it basically proves that for 50 years, U.S. drug policy was based on lies, paranoia, keeping people who are poor, keeping people who are of color down by using the prison industrial complex and the judicial industrial complex and laws such as drug laws, which were made worse in the 80s, made even worse in the 90s by Democratic progressives like Hillary Clinton, who called people super predators. So it's just sad that, we could have legalized marijuana and maybe people wouldn't be doing fentanyl, because, the fentanyl people are doing is a freaking chemical warfare agent, and people can't put two and two together. Like it's being imported from China, although apparently there's been a reduction in fentanyl overdoses year over year, but you wouldn't know that by being on the ground. Let me tell you, it's definitely not like a easy thing around here. It definitely is like people still dropping like flies, and maybe it's just locally, or maybe it's just people I know, but there's just too many people dying of this stuff, and it's not something safe. It's not something you can do safely. It's a dangerous, deadly drug that should not be produced. It violates all sorts of UN protocols for even production of it. It's a chemical warfare agent. Wikipedia lists it as that. There's no medical use for it. Fentanyl that's being produced illegally. It's not the fentanyl that your grandparents are using for cancer. That's not the illegal fentanyl. Fentanyl acetate, which is technically a chemical weapon. Fentanyl acetate is a chemical weapon. Fentanyl itself is not. But anything street is a chemical weapon that's coming out from China through Mexico into America. And the latest federal reports say that the deaths have gone down, but I sincerely doubt that. Doesn't make sense to me. Just knowing what I know from people who I've seen in the local community, from my friends and stuff. In terms of stuff that's coming up, next week we have the 45K at Pine Tree Camp, which is going to be helping Sam and people with autism, and it's a fundraiser for Pine Tree Camp, and it's got a lot of interesting stuff going on. I certainly recommend going if you want to check out Pine Tree Society at pinetreesociety.org for their information. It's on the 5th of October, and that same weekend on the 4th, and that's the actual pre-registration ends this Friday for the GROW conference, which is being sponsored by Resources for Social Change, which sponsors Ability Maine. We will not be there, although we highly recommend going there. It's going to be held at Pilgrim Lodge in West Gardner, Maine, which is extremely accessible and having very good, excuse me, 1 second, mouth dying of thirst. And the Ground Workshop's going to be really great and interesting. It's just nothing I can handle this year, so I'm not going to be going to them. But I highly recommend it. I just put up information about how to sign up. Pre-registration is due Friday. There's information on our website. On our Facebook page. By all means, if you have the ability to go, because it's a great experience, to at least experience it once. So, and we have a couple more things to do. Social Security has done a lot. It's 420, which means I need to medicate because it's been a long day. Believe me, it's been a long day. Props have to admit to Amber Bougie for giving me thoughts to do this 420 story hour back in 2020 when she started her 420 poetry slams. I just said, well, I can do that. Just wrote disability culture stuff and called it that because I didn't know what else to do because I didn't think of writing this stuff, and I wanted something to keep people interested. It's hard because there's not a lot going on virtually anymore, and it's hard to find stuff to watch every night. Right now, I watch a lot of Smalls live. It's on YouTube. It's a jazz club in New York, which is also completely inaccessible for people with wheelchairs. It's down the flight of stairs. But it has really good jazz, and, it's free, so, take it for what it's worth. And, I've been lucky to get some streams of some skate contests and stuff, and my local Olin Arts Center broadcasts all their shows on live streams, so I might go. I know there's one Friday coming up. It's Bombay Rickety, when they're based out of Bombay Rickety is based out of Brooklyn. They're not. Disabled, but they are great. They're fun. They'll be something to be fun to go and see. So I'm gonna link that right now, and I just posted that on right now. Social Security updates. I'm sorry, I haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, they are going to completely redo the way in which people with they're going to change the way people with IDDs are going to get SSI. That's underway for next year, for what I was told, or for what I read. With everything else too, though, as of starting at the end of this month, the SSI rental subsidy program will be expanded to allow more people to qualify for SSI. Exchange will also increase the benefit payments for some current recipients. New rules apply nationwide to just 7 states. I don't that worked in Maine before, but might be changing things afterwards after September 30th. I'm sure that if you are affected, you'll be notified by Social Security. If you have questions, you want to call them or talk to someone who has knowledge of that. Maybe consumers who are affordable health care or particularly rights Maine might even know quickly. And benefits are going to be increased to $9.43 per month for individual for SSI and $14.15 per month as of June 1st, 2024. This would be due to the CPI, so that's for this year, but I'm not sure what next year will be. And in-kind supports are no longer included as part of that. One of the big issues that people don't realize is that when you're disabled, you can't necessarily get married without losing major benefit problems. And it's different when you have Social Security because there's different types of Social Security. There's SSI, there's SSI/SSDI for someone who got worked some quarters but not enough quarters to completely qualify for SSDI. There's also SSRI, Social Security Retirement, Social Security Disability, Social Security for dependents or survivors. So there's so many different Social Security issues that none of them make sort of any sense. The laws don't make sense, like the amount of money people can have in a bank account in terms of assets change depending on what Social Security you're on. I wanted to get married at one point and I couldn't because I wouldn't lose my medical benefits, but the way in which they were paid, I would lose the subsidy that pays the medical benefits, which is like $200 a month. And it was like, I'd lose that much money from my income, and then I had to pay another, it was like ridiculous. It was the amount of money I would lose. So it was ridiculous to go beyond that. So I never thought about it because my partner and I realized that it was not going to happen. But it's very frustrating that people can't get married. And ABC television, which I believe has been doing really cutting edge display shows since life goes on back in the 80s. I'm sorry, 80s and 90s, with Down syndrome, and then Speechless, and now Patrice, where they're going to be talking about the marriage and equality and stuff. And there's a really great, I'm going to share this with my friend. Hold on, I'm going to share this piece, and we'll call it good. So the Patrice movie's going to be really good. Hold on, I'm working on it. Trying to find this. Again, I'm just trying to get this out to you, and I'm just going to be putting up a link about Patrice. And there we go. Put it on the Ability Maine page right now. And publishing it. And bang. There we go. Patrice is going to be a comedy on ABC. It's starting. I'm not sure if you can. I'm pretty sure you can watch on their app. Not sure if it streams on in real time or if you have to watch it over time. But in any case, Patrice is going to be taking on this marriage inequality, and again, it's been 12 years. I'm sorry, 9 years since. It's been 12 years since Maine passed gay marriage. It's been 2015 since the Supreme Court ruled that gay marriage is legal, but yet people with disabilities still can't get married. So again, there's some real issues with that, and it needs to change because people need to be able to love who they want to love, whether they're disabled or not. And it shouldn't be a question of, oh, well, if you're able enough to, get off Social Security, because that's not fair. It's not a fair fight to try and get off Social Security. It takes too much work for one person who's disabled to get off Social Security. You have too much dependence on the medical aspects of it. It's like telling someone, yeah, you can go off it, but you better find a really good medical insurance, or else it's basically SOL. And that's the reality of it. And it's scary. And it's sad because think of all the people and all of the potential that would happen if people could actually work and not worry about this stuff and worry about what they can accomplish. That's the real important part of what's going wrong with Social Security. Is it focuses on the inability, it's the ability. And instead of tearing down barriers, it puts them up. October next month is Disability Employment Awareness Month, and it's only 5 or 6 days away. It's less than a week away. But I mean, it's frustrating as hell to be, working for the last, 25 years, 35 years, and not being able to, go for a full-time job, because I can't work full-time, which is fine, but not being able, having to cut by my hours, so I can't, have that security of a job. Can't have security of getting married without losing the benefits. If I got married, most people get married to ensure their assets. With Social Security, you actually have to cut your assets back. Again, it's a real frustrating thing, and it's been a long afternoon, and I've done as much as I can to try and get stuff up onto the website today. So I'm going to call it a good day for today. Hope you have a great story time. We'll be back hopefully at some point, and see you soon. Be well and do good work, and keep good thought, and we'll be back. Thank you.